What's up, y'all? It's SNC here, and I'm here with the 1981 offseason player progression and training camp options. So quick disclaimer as always, um, just for like some new GMs or for GMs that haven't really like paid attention to the start of the Progs video every year, because I'm not doing this in the actual Prog screen. So like if y'all are familiar with my league or my NBA and 2K, like in Progs, it like actually shows you how much players went up or down, but because I'm doing that like manual intangibles adjustment thing, uh, which is like I think most of you already know about, it's just inaccurate in the actual prog screen. So as always, I'm just gonna do it in. Okay, sorry, my OBS just disconnected, so hopefully like this thing still stays together. But the last thing I did want to like point out is like these red arrows that point down. That isn't regression. That's like morale effects or other effects, just making players like that's temporary stuff. That's not like actual regression or stuff. Like you can see it there with Skowski. But and like the same thing with the green arrows. That isn't progression. Aguirre is an 80, not an 81. Yeah. So yeah. With that out of the way, let's get started. For the Sixers, John Williamson stays around where he's been. Brad Davis is up to an 88, and yeah, Maravich, Haywood really falling off now. Doug Collins also falling off a bit too. Uh, yeah, the Sixers are really transitioning out of the Spencer Haywood, Maravich era, and Brad Davis is almost certainly going to start this year. Onto the Bucks. I think there was like a fluke like drop one for a couple players here that aren't actually regressing. They just had like a couple attributes drop like one or two, not like anything big. But like some of their depth was a bit older, and they got hit with the regression, like Kosic down to a 73. So this might be like the thinnest Bucks roster so far. If Billy Knight, like if last year was just a fluke for Billy Knight, and he can get back to what's normal for him, like how well he was doing in Phoenix. Oh, well, that's probably like not realistic, but at least like how good he was in Indiana, um, then they'll probably still be really good. And Eddie Johnson is probably actually going to get a much bigger scoring role this year, especially because the roster looks a lot thinner. So he'll get more minutes, and we can like maybe he'll do what he did in the playoffs for like the whole year or something. With the Bulls, uh, yeah, it looks like a lot of their guys have hit their caps. Um, for guys like Kikanovich and Ray Williams, they have the attributes of players that are probably way better. Um, it's really just they haven't gotten the scoring opportunity to get their intangibles up, but they're probably way better players than their overall suggest. But yeah, the Bulls' young core is they're all starting to like enter their prime ages and like hit their ceilings. Uh, for the Cavs, um, sorry, my dad like came into my room, so I'm just trying to like remember what I was gonna say. Dr. J, like that's a pretty like notable drop now, down to a 94. Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson still there. Cavs are starting to age out a bit too. We're really in a transition phase right now. A lot of these teams from earlier on in the sim starting to fall off. The Celtics, uh, they look ready, I think, to maybe make a playoff push. Uh, I mean, I know they didn't like make a ton of changes, and honestly, these progs weren't that crazy, but they have a lot of pieces. Bird only got a bit better, and I know he's not great, but having Tiny Archibald now and Danny Ainge, that's just more pieces. And honestly, I think that, and like Andrew Toney, I think if he just hits his shots a little bit more, which his shooting did go up a bit, he'll be a way, way better player. So yeah, I think they were a couple pieces away, and they might have gotten those pieces, and Andrew Toney might have developed into one of those pieces. So the Celtics might make a playoff push this year. The Braves, uh, Maurice Cheeks gets into the 90s. Bill Laimbeer, 87. Uh, things are looking really good for him. Not much else though. The Clippers, Cliff Robinson, around the same. Bob Lanier, down to an 86. Larry Knight, okay. G-Man, looking pretty good. But yeah, like Wilbur Holland is pretty much done. Bob Lanier is really starting to fall apart. In like his first 2 years, he was really, really good. Uh, and then after he left Orlando, things just weren't the same. And now he's really starting to fall off a cliff. Yeah, Wilbur Holland was also like was never really a star, but was one of the more notable like starter plus caliber, like high level starter caliber players in the league. But yeah, things are looking pretty much done for him. For the Hawks, Irvin Johnson up to a 96. He looks ready to like make that jump into the top 10. Uh, yeah, Giebot dropped a bit, but he should still be serviceable. I think Shume might have dropped a one, but who really cares? Just a 1 year deal. And Laskowski is around the same. So the Hawks are probably a playoff team as well. For the Heat, Michael Ray Richardson, it looks like he's finally hit his peak. Daryl Griffith jumped up a couple. And there's the rest of the roster. The Heat, I believe, made the playoffs last year, and I'd only expect them to be even, like, to continue getting even better. Uh, for the Hornets, not much really. Um, they lost Kevin Porter in free agency, so I'm interested to see how they're gonna handle that. They might do like Mike Dabney down to the one. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like they're all like pretty big, but English has like a lot of guard skills. So maybe English. They'll just rely on English to be that primary facilitator. Mack is a pretty good passer too, so yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting without Kevin Porter there. The Jazz, Mike Woodson jumped up quite a bit. Yeah, they're just looking for that franchise player. Kelly Tripucka should be a really good piece, but uh, yeah, they won 15 games, got pretty unlucky in the lottery, so they'll probably be taking again this year. The Kings, no one really jumped up. They had a couple of rookies, but neither of them really took notable leaps. They're really gonna be there's gonna be a lot of open touches for their incoming rookies. Let's see, Bernard King's brother Albert King should be very interesting to monitor this year. The Knicks, uh, Mangal completely fell off a cliff. Yeah, he's pretty much done. Nixon around the same, but we'll see how he does with way more touches. Um, that was a pretty interesting trade. Nixon should be a very interesting player to look at this year because we've never really like seen him with this much freedom in terms of scoring, except in his rookie year, but he wasn't capable of being a high level scorer then. Like the efficiency was just not even close to being there, but now he is a pretty efficient player. He's a pretty good shooter, so yeah, should be interesting to see these rookies as well. Uh, the Lakers, yeah, all their dudes pretty much peaked. Some of their bench pieces regressed a bit, I guess, but yeah, nothing too notable for the Lakers. Magic, all of their guys also look like they've peaked. So yeah, it's kind of a weird team right now. For the Mavericks, Sidney Moncrief, Gallus, and Ruland, and Joe Barry Carroll, all four of their uh, really good young players jumping up. And yeah, they brought in Drazen Dalapagic. Uh, Mavericks are looking really good. The Nets, the reigning champions, not much really going on. They don't have a ton of young talent on the team. I mean, they have James Donaldson, but he is probably like hit his cap already. Even though he's only 23, he's not really like a star player, so it's probably like the best he's going to be. And then everyone else is pretty much at their peak. Okay, my OBS disconnected again. It says we're back now, so hopefully all these like different segments it's kind of creating, uh, they all like show up in the video. We'll see, but the Nuggets, the big three still looks intact. Everything there. Yeah, they brought in Mike Bryant, who I assume is probably going to be starting at the three. Uh, and that might propel them to like the championship. That's how big of an upgrade he is over who they had previously. It's not like he's a great player, but he's a good player, and they had a terrible player before. Or I mean, Steve Green's not terrible, but like for a starter, he is terrible. So replacing that with like an actual starter caliber player might propel them to the actual like might propel them into being a championship team. The Pacers, yeah, Moses and Birdsong probably peaked. Don't have a ton of great young talent here. And McGinnis, Lacey regressing, Hayes is gone. Pacers are kind of in mediocrity right now. The Grizzlies, Kevin McHale jumps up into the 90s. Walter Davis probably peaked. You can see Isaiah Thomas there, and then a ton of depth pieces as well. The Grizzlies are coming. The Pistons, Freeman Williams has peaked. Monty Toe has also peaked. So no progs for them. Jeff Lamp is there. I believe they have their pick. Yeah, they do. So they're finally going to be able to tank and like keep their own pick instead of just giving the Grizzlies the number one pick every year. Uh, the Huskies, yeah, they really um they're in a transition phase right now. From what I'm hearing, they are gonna be tanking this year. So should be interesting. They only have like they have a couple pieces that I think could be on and like on the team once they start trying to win again. Obviously King, like Belov is a pretty good piece. Randy Smith probably not. He's just gonna fall off. He's just gonna continue to fall off, I think. Hanson though, he's a pretty solid big, and then Buck Williams, who they got in the lottery this year. So uh, yeah, they have a couple pieces, but yeah, they're gonna start tanking, trying to bring in more pieces as well through free agency as well. The Rockets, yeah, a lot of the pieces probably peaked. Dandridge is gonna regress, but they're in a weird spot. Michael Thompson has been like a hidden gem, putting up like per minute like some of the best production in the league. Now he's finally going to be the best player on a team for the full year, but they also have like a ton of scoring options too. So I don't even know if he's really going to get the opportunity he needs to like really show how dominant he is. But yeah, Rockets are interesting, I guess. The Spurs, yeah, Kareem dropping again this year, but uh, yeah, not much else going on. I guess like a lot of their like end of the bench guys are regressing, but they're barely going to play anyways if they play at all. Um, I think we all this one way or another this is the last year this like this version of the Spurs exist. So we'll see if they can get at least one championship out of this era because like the amount of stuff they've went through to get here, it would be really disappointing if they can't at least get one out of it. The Suns, Cowens is just he's just completely falling apart. Down to an 88, but as you can see, a lot of his scoring is just really way down. Yeah, Rolando Blackman is like the only good thing they have going for them. Sonics, uh, Rudy T dropped a lot. Like, yeah, the Sonics are just another one of those Met teams that aren't really going to be bad enough to be in the tank wars and get a top player, but they aren't. They're definitely not like good enough to contend or anything. Timberwolves, uh, might break the loss record, but Kiki Vandeweghe up to an 88 going into year two. Rick Mahorn also looking very solid. Rookie Tom Chambers is here as well. The Blazers, they let a lot of their bigs walk, but they still have a lot of bigs. Um, so yeah, I don't think Sly Williams was an 83 last time I checked. A lot of the bigs are gone. Even, they still have a lot of bigs, but a lot of the bigs are gone. So Sly Williams is going to get more opportunity. And per minute, he was like a genuine star last year. So should be interesting to see how well he does with even more opportunity this year. And Mark Olberding, uh, is of course the the embodiment of Blazers basketball. Just like a ultra efficient big man who only takes shots at the rim, blocks shots, gets rebounds, but he does it at like way higher volume than any other big of that archetype. So he's like the pinnacle of the glass cleaning lockdown or paint beast archetype. Uh, to the Warriors, Bill Cartwright probably capped out. Reggie Theus, Purvis Short, really been just around that for their pretty much their entire careers. Larry Drew did jump up a bit, but yeah, the Warriors at this point are probably too good to tank. But I don't really see any franchise player, so they're gonna have to like sign someone or trade for someone because I don't think they're bad enough to tank right now. Onto the Bullets, Michael Cooper up to an 89. Uh, Paxson, Michael Brooks, they just need the ping pong balls to fall right. They're getting pieces, but none of them are like the guy, unless you want to count Michael Cooper as that. But I don't know uh, if I'm like really ready to do that, especially because he hasn't led this team to anything. So yeah, they're just really banking on ping pong balls right now. But yeah, so that is the progs for every team. So now on to the training camp options. So as always, every team gets two training camps. You can't use both camps on the same player, with the exception of like free throw, because free throw affects the whole team. Yeah, so I'll just quickly go through what every camp is for those of y'all who are new, or just for like people who need a refresher. Big man offense. You can see on the left side of the screen what it does. Perimeter shooting, offense fundamentals, which is just a bunch of like really random offensive stuff. Rebounding, pretty self-explanatory. Conditioning, athleticism, big man defense, perimeter defense, combo guard, which is basically playmaking, basketball 101, just a bunch of different IQ stuff, and perimeter defense is in there too. In like the basketball 101 camp, which is interesting. Untapped potential, which is by far the most popular one, increases the ceilings of your players. Free throw increases the entire team's free throw rating by one. And last but honestly probably least, weight camp increases strength and weight. So yeah, that is it for the progs and training camps video. Thank you all for watching. Sorry about, I don't know how it affects the video on your side, but for me, OBS was like cutting out in the middle a lot. So hopefully that doesn't like ruin the video and I don't have to like retake this again for like, I think this was the seventh take, so like an eighth time. Yeah. So see y'all next time.